Have you ever wished you knew what interviewers were really asking? You're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to talk about some common interview questions and what interviewers are really listening for with your answers. Let's dive in.
What's up, guys? We are Caleb and Mary Beth Lutz, former teachers in real time, building out income and influence resources we wish we had years ago.
Yep.
And we wish someone had actually walked us through this and just had an open up conversation with us. Today, we are talking about interviews, not just from the here's your top 10 points, but more what interviewers are really asking for. This is so relevant because, one, Mary Beth just went through a high-level sales interview process, got the job, is in a great position now. I just went through hiring one of the first folks who will become leadership on our freight team. And so we've both gone through this. We're excited to share from you today, again, what interviewers are really listening for. We've got 4 points for you. 1, why employers or interviewers are asking what they ask. 2, the real question behind the common questions you get. 3, what they're actually listening for. And then 4, questions you can be asking back to them that show your competence here. So we're excited to dive in.
Very excited. And I think what would help too, obviously, I just did an interview. You just went through interviewing other people. Mm-hmm. But let's go back and rewind a little bit, as they say, right?
Yeah.
When you first started realizing you needed to do interviews, I don't think you were super excited about it from what you've told me. So
as a to-be employee, I was terrified. I hated the thought of someone within 5 minutes or 10 minutes making a judgment call on how I would not be a fit for their company. I had all the DQ thoughts in my head. I don't have the experience. And this is like interviewing for a busboy job at a Mexican restaurant while I was in college. So this is not some high level thing. This is just, why would they pick me? Mm-hmm. And I did have all the anxiety, all of the butterflies. I just wasn't prepared and I didn't know what they were looking for. I'll come back to that and my perspective on it now. You came from a very different background, I believe very confident in interviews. So what was your thought process that really helped you?
Yeah, I would say I did come from a background with learning a lot of communication skills, even in my family, come from an Italian background. And so everyone is communicating, and communication at the end of the day is getting the inside you to the outside world effectively. So my thought process was that I knew that I could present myself effectively, but I still did a lot of research before I went in. And so I guess the point of that is, whether you're coming into this and you are feeling scared out of your mind to do an interview, which I feel like that's the majority of people at some point, like you're like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. You're the nervous. Yeah. I still had nerves, but because I did have a background where communication was pretty normalized for me in a lot of ways, I did go into the interview with more confidence, but I still did research and I did watch videos or devour as much content as I could so I could present myself effectively. So whether you're on either end of the spectrum, you're in the right place. So.
I think how I see interviews now is that as companies, like myself as an employer now, I just need to find good fits for the people I'm bringing on. Yeah. So I'm not coming into an interview trying to hack someone's life apart. I'm not coming in trying to intimidate. I'm trying to find out who the person really is, if they can handle certain scenarios, and just, again, if they're a good fit. Now that I have that perspective, if I am being interviewed, it's a conversation. So I'm open about who I am, clear, concise, and go from there. We can give a lot on mindset, but we do want to give you guys some tangibles today and talk about why employers ask some of the questions they do ask. I know you were going to kick off here. So.
Yeah. And that's just perfect segue into point number 1, why they ask what they ask in terms of interviewers. And biggest thing that helped me was realizing that every question that was being asked of me was actually intentional. It wasn't like the interviewer was just saying, let me just see, do they know about this? Do they know about that? Like, they're actually screening. And what I kind of found was there were 3 things that they were looking for. First of all, can you do the job? Can you do the job? Do you have the skill set for what we're looking for? Are you a good fit for this role? And all the questions that are asked are like tailored around that. And other one too I'm thinking of is, will you stick around and be easy to work with? Hiring people is extremely, extremely expensive. It is.
I'll add one more.
Yeah.
How are you going to represent me to my customers? Like if you're presenting yourself in a wrinkled t-shirt to me, you might be cool. You might have your own vibe. I might not like you as a person. But if you think showing up like that is just cool in a professional setting to my customers, like that will not make me look good. And that is a red flag.
It's about getting into the mind of what is the employer actually looking for. So again, why they're asking what they're asking, because they want to see things also too, kind of with that. Are you actually going to be worth what they're going to pay you? Do you have the value? Do you bring that to the table? Do you represent customers well? But at the end of the day, every question is going to usually map one of those three. And really to kind of point number two, I know we're going to talk about, but like the real question behind some of the common ones with that mindset built in. And so I remember one of the favorite ones, and I joke about that. I don't know if it was your favorite. Caleb, tell us about yourself. How was that question for you? Which is super common, but that's usually the beginning question actually of almost every interview. So
it's funny because now as an employer and an interviewer, that is one of my favorite questions. As an employee before, I hated that. It's like, what part of my 18, 19 years of elusive experience do you want me to elaborate on? I was a prankster. I like math. I did this, So as an employer, what I am looking for is, can you concisely bring together basics of who you are in a manner that addresses how you might be able to team up with me to meet the needs of our customers? And you may want to play that back, but I'm just looking for, do you actually have skills? And even in the tell me about yourself, can you say, so here's basics. Here's where I come from in life. I'm human, blah, 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 blah. But here are a few of the skill sets that I've built. That's why I looked at this job, and that's why I'm here today.
Yes.
So it's being able to, yes, touch on a few points, again, be human, but really bring it back to here's why we're here today.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for that conversational bit too.
Yeah, and I'll kind of touch in here, but one of the questions that I was actually asked in my last interview, and this was kind of the turning point in the interview, which is really interesting. He asked me, he goes, okay, what are some of your biggest weaknesses that you have? And because I'm thinking, why would they ask this question? They're not looking for me to be grandiose and to tell them that I have no weaknesses. I just know that.
Please do not do that.
Please don't do that. We can see right through it. They can see right through it. And what they're really asking when they say, hey, what is your biggest weakness? They really want to know, hey, are you self-aware? Do you actually, are you willing to kind of humble yourself and admit that you're not perfect? And just to be honest, not only with yourself, but also with the person you're working with. Whenever, and I'll dive more into that in a second, but when we hire people, I don't want a perfect person. I want someone who's going to own their mistakes when they happen and are coachable, teachable, willing to work with us so that we can all move forward together. Yes. That's all I'm looking for.
Yes.
So when I brought kind of some vulnerable things to the table, I talked about things that I had truly worked on in my career. And I mentioned when I first started, this is how I used to be with people. And man, did I have to hone in on that. But I talked about, here was my weakness. Here's what I did. Here's how I sought coaching. Here's how I sought mentorship. And I was just honest with them. And he literally said in the interview, he said, you are one of the most self-aware people that I've ever talked to in general. And that was the turning point in the interview. And I believe that was a big reason that I got the role, was because he saw coachability.
Honesty.
Growth
mindset.
Yep.
Not being afraid to be real about what your weaknesses are.
Yep.
And reality is, everyone around you knows what your weaknesses are. And when you admit them, then it's like, oh, cool. We don't have to tell you. Like, that really helps. Like, you can just call that out. No, that's huge. Yeah. I think another common question and an important meaning behind it is just like, so tell me why you think you're a fit for this role.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to that first one, but it's a, hey, here are a couple of skill sets I bring to the table. I'm also looking for, if someone will say, here's what I think will be a fit, I'm also not as familiar with this part. What do you see people succeeding do in their first 6 months to separate themselves? I'm looking for them initiating questions. And I like being straight up about adaptability is huge. Being able to communicate bad news is necessary. Here's this. Like, how are you able to do that? I like going back and forth. And I like them listening and thinking and being like, yeah, that question really helps. Here's an example of when I've had to do this. Or someone being straight up and like, I actually have not had to do that before. I am a fast learner, but I would need to learn that from you.
Yeah.
Oh, that is music to my ears to be like, wow, I'm actually really clear on this.
Yeah. And a lot of that goes into kind of our third point of like what someone is actually listening for. You did a really good overview of that because, first of all, like, again, the ownership of taking responsibility.
Huge,
like, hey, maybe I don't know how to do this, but I do have these skill sets and I do have credibility in these areas and I'm willing to learn. I'm at least going to hear somebody out when I hear something like that. I'm not looking for perfection. And here's the thing. They may have experience, but the particular skill sets or certain like super hyper focused in things they will be doing that job, maybe they haven't done those yet. And maybe there's a training platform for them to do that with the company. But if I see that initiative, that ownership, they're not blaming the last boss or the last job for their issues. And
we have so many stories.
Being a victim, I can't tell you how unattractive that is.
One interviewer or interviewee. Yes. Yeah. They started their response to me and how their relationship with their last boss was. They were like, well, after all I've been through,
oh no,
I could not put up with blah, 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 blah. Oh, no. And they just started beating them into the ground. And I will tell you, as a potential employer, I'm thinking, so no matter what I do, you're going to be thinking about all that you've already been through. You're looking for me to be a perfect person who doesn't make these mistakes. And if I'm not perfect, you're going to blab about me to every other person that you talk to in the future. No, I don't want to work with you. So,
in other words, low drama is really, really nice.
Low drama is extremely nice. Low drama
is just...
So simple clarity in your communication, ownership, the low drama, giving specific stories when you have a story that are relevant to it, staying neutral, staying professional, staying open, and like, so I think I'm a good fit here. I actually think I'm a strong fit because of this and this, but I did want to ask this, or this may be a weak area. Like, you being able to initiate that communicates so much maturity and growth mindset and just awesome ability to work through things that whether I can hire you immediately or whether I'm just referring you with a high recommendation to others, I want to help elevate you. So those are great things to communicate there.
They really are. All right, last point here, the questions that you should be asking the one interviewing you. And I just want to say, good questions flip the interview around. Yes. Like, you at the end of the day, this is your chance to actually evaluate them. And that is really healthy to do because, again, think from your perspective. Seeing myself here with this company, like, that's the mindset to start with. One of the questions that I also asked in my last interview, which really stood out, and little background on myself, I have been, sales, high-level athletics. I've always been a high performer in whatever I do. My number one question when I see things when we play a game, I'm like, okay, how do we win? Like, how do you win?
That is what you need to know when you start a game.
I just want to know, like, okay, how do you win? So kind of that mindset, especially like as an example in a sales role, or really, I guess any role in general. One of the questions that I ask pretty commonly is, okay, the top performers at this company, what are they doing that the bottom of the barrel aren't doing? Like, how are they successful? How could I be successful if I were to get this role?
What does it take to win here?
What does it take to win here?
Yeah.
And I'm actually being truthful. I'm not just trying to ask the question, but I want to hear from them because I'm also listening for, do they have things like training and development that I can actually be investing in?
Another way to ask some of those questions, or did you have more there?
I did, but
please do.
you just go ahead. It's okay.
Another way to ask that question is just, hey, like in your first 6 months, how do you, those who are winning at the highest level, how are they separating themselves? Like, what are the high performers showing you? What are the habits that are helping them win? Some version of that question does set you up well. It has the employer actually being like, okay, awesome. They're thinking about the best case scenario. They're thinking, how can they fit here? And they actually start saying all these things as they're looking at you, and they can start seeing you there, especially if you are then able to sit with that and say, so here is why I think I could do that. And you have a specific example to back that up. So that's a great one.
I think another good one I really like to ask too is like, hey, in this role, what's some of the biggest challenges you've noticed that people face? Because again, I want to know, like, are these things that where I am, I feel like I can actually overcome? Is it some things within the company? Is it a leadership issue? Like, I'm just putting feelers out there for what are truly the challenges that most people face in this role, type of thing.
I love hearing questions that are not scripted as an interviewer, that I can tell is actually important to someone. So even if an intro to it is like, tell me about the day-to-day of your team, like what is your culture like?
Sure.
That tells me that that day-to-day does matter to the person. If they're saying, I do want to ask, like in management, will I get a chance to meet the manager and see if we're a good fit first? And there's a professional way to communicate it. For me right now, I could very easily say I work very well with those who treat with respect, who do not micromanage, who give autonomy, who tell me what the end goal is, and then allow me to run on the track. And as long as I'm proving that out, they're not telling me the ABC steps. Anything like that, maybe you're not a fit for that company, but you knowing that that's where you are and owning that, that is a great sign to a good quality employer.
It is. And one last thing I'll touch on here is skip anything that you could have answered from looking at their website.
Yes.
Like, please do research beforehand. One thing I actually like to do, not only looking on the website, and I do like to ask a specific question like, hey, I noticed this on your website. I was curious about XYZ. That tells an interviewer, wow, you actually did some research too. We mentioned being a human. If I know who's actually going to interview me, I'll totally go on LinkedIn. I will look up some of their history, just anything that I can have some sort of common ground with them to show them I'm a real person. Yes, I have much to bring to the table, have flaws, but I'm still a real person, and I do like to be relational and connect. So
show them you're cool.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're in Kansas City, talk about the Chiefs.
Totally.
Or their college or whatever. But yes, relate and have fun with it.
Cool.
As we're coming to a close here, just a quick recap of basics that we've covered today. We're really tackling interviews, but especially what the interviewers are asking. So 1, why they ask what they ask. 2, the real question behind some of those more common questions you get. 3, what your interviewers are actually listening for. And then finally, questions you can be asking them back, and learning to train yourself to hear what they're really asking, again, is the biggest piece there.
It has truly been a pleasure being here with you today. Feel free to look in the description box. We have a coming soon on our resources page, the Authentic Sales Playbook.
Yes, we do.
And before you think sales, interview, how do those two connect? At the end of the day, an interview truly is finding the needs of your employer and kind of selling yourself, saying, hey, I can fill these needs. So that playbook's going to show you exactly how you can go ahead.
Very well said.
And, oh, thank you. Exactly how you can sell yourself effectively. Feel free to subscribe. We do have new videos every single week, and please comment below. If there is a topic that you would like to see that you have not seen on this channel, we do read every single comment, and we just want to create something that we wish that we had.
We're here to be useful, and again, to resource and to serve those who are on the same journey with us and learn from each other. So as we close, always remember, you always have a choice to change your life, and we do believe in you. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.
See you soon.